She is a software engineer, co-founder and CTO of Logicel, producers of G Kudi microfinance systems. She is also a cerebral palsy patient, but not asleep. Our guest for this week's Everyday People is Farida Nana Ifwa Beju.
Now, in my case, I was born with a blocked intestine. So when I was 2 days old, I had to be operated on. So by the time I came out of the incubator and they were able to apply the physiotherapy, it was too late. If I hadn't had these limitations, I probably would not be in this industry. I mean, who knows? I may even have become a hip life artist or something. But then, because of these limitations, I had a problem with my handwriting. So I started using computers at a very early age. I actually started using the manual typewriter to type letters, but I could not write very legibly. So from the manual typewriter, I graduated to an electric typewriter. Then I graduated to a computer. Now, when I started using the computer, I realized that I enjoyed it. So I thought, why not? I mean, at least I don't have to write with it. So it was more a profession chosen because of my limitation. But then luckily for me, I found that I had a knack for it and I enjoy what I do. You know I have a condition. I didn't know I have a condition. That is what is encouraging me. I see myself as somebody who I cannot do certain things you cannot do, but you also cannot do certain things I cannot do. So when you look at it that way, then you realize that there's nothing really wrong with you. We all have our strengths and our weaknesses. My weaknesses are more visible. Yours are not. So when you look at it that way, then you realize that there's really nothing wrong with anybody with a disability. It's just that at the end of the day, our weaknesses are visible. We started this company, Logicel, in response to a gap in the market. That gap was the gap of microfinance software that suited the needs of the industry in the country. My partner, Derek Denchi, and I were working with a microfinance company. We got a foreign software that did not suit the needs of the local industry. So I am a software developer with almost 20 years experience in the software industry in Ghana. So I came up with the concept that we can do something better than what you have, which is very expensive, and it did not suit what the microfinance company needed. It is my desire that no matter who you are, whether you have a disability or not, when you see what I have achieved, you realize that you can achieve it and achieve even more than I have. I mean, the sky is your limit. The only thing limiting you is your mind. And if you are able to break through those barriers of containment that you have put your mind in, I'm sure there's nothing that you can't do. It is more of a book to change the perception on people with disabilities. I wanted to let society know that they're just like everybody else. We have the same emotions, the same needs, the same one that everybody has. So I wrote a book so that at least anybody who reads the book will realize the mindset of somebody with a disability. Miracles are gotten every day, we just don't appreciate them. So we have to read the power of the miracles. When we read the power of the miracles, then we realize that when you wake up in the morning, it's a miracle. When you're able to get out of bed and put your foot down and stand up, it's a miracle. So everything that you do, you shouldn't take it for granted.
And that was a very special report by Babina Finwalker featuring Farida Bedwe. And that's our campaign here on New Day. We won't stop talking until we're heard. We won't stop saying it until we get positive action for the people who actually need it. We're talking about inclusive education for persons with cerebral palsy. And now join Dr. Nana Majiman, Farida Bedwe, and Hannah as they have an exclusive conversation in furtherance of our campaign.
Well, so I'm here with Farida Bedwe. You saw a documentary on her, and she's here in studio. And I'm also joined by Hannah Waji. She's the head of Special Mothers Project. But to add, Farida is also the Chief Technology Officer and co-founder of Logicel. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Farida, how are you doing?
Very well, thank
And yourself,
you.
Hannah?
I'm great.
Great. So we're talking about pushing an agenda for inclusive education for people with cerebral palsy. But I'd like to start with you, Farida, concerning your personal experience. You were telling me something interesting, that your schooling was not so much of a private one where everything was made just for your specification. But how easy was that for you going to a public school in Ghana?
Fortunately for me, I had a good foundation. I was homeschooled by my mother until I was 12. So by the time I was 12, I went straight into JSS1. And it wasn't that difficult. I remember my first day in school. I went to a school called Cambridge JSS in Kolegono. Yes. And I went into the classroom, and the teacher told my classmates that this is Farida. She needs help. Help her. And that was it. So I got such really good friends there who were all willing to assist. I mean, so when I wanted to go to the bathroom, they would hold my hand, take me to the place. And back then, we did not have a toilet. So you know the communal toilet where you have to squat. And I had to do things that I had never done before. But it was quite interesting. And academically, I was already strong. So getting into the whole thing wasn't difficult for you. It wasn't difficult for me. The only thing that I had problems with were my handwriting, because of my jerky movement. So what happened was the teachers just had to take more time to read the handwriting, and that was it. So for me, so I always say that all it takes is a willing head teacher to take the extra effort, to make that extra effort to help to include the child. It doesn't take that much to push the agenda. And obviously, at the time I could walk, but I needed help. So although it was not accessible, totally accessible, I was still able to manage, because it wasn't on a story building or anything. All my classrooms were on the ground floor, and that helped a lot.
Very well, but you also talk about infrastructure, because for you, fortunately, all the classrooms were on the ground floor. But in a situation where people are enrolled in schools, because we want the inclusive education, so looking at it where a child joins a school where the JSS is on the upper floor and that child is going to JSS, how, as it stands now, are we going to be capable of taking these children into the regular system?
No, we are not. We are not. And even the classes, even the schools where the classrooms are on the ground floor, there's always still a step to get into the classroom. So if the child is in a wheelchair, I don't know how they expect the child to be able to get into the classroom. Secondly, the doors are not wide enough to cater for the wheelchair. And those are little things that that people do not consider when they are building a school. Because their main agenda is to build, let's say, 20 schools in a community. So they are in a hurry to
just build it.
To just build it. So without taking into consideration these little things that will make the difference between whether a child with CP or any other disability gets in the school or not.
You know, you mentioned also a willing head teacher, but as it stands now in the policy, because Hannah has spoken about the policy before, and in it seems like the policy itself restricts even the teacher who may have the desire, but they don't have the infrastructure. They don't have GES backing them to even admit these students at an appropriate age. What for you, Hannah?
Talking about willingness, I'll just share a story of a mother whose child has cerebral palsy, and this child walks, this child talks. When she's walking, you know that she has cerebral palsy, and she talks. She was in a school, a very prestigious school in Accra here, and her only problem is writing. When she holds the pencil, it takes a very long time, and she shakes, so they are not able to. The teacher maltreated this girl so much that the mother had to force the child out. When I met them, the child has stayed home for 3 years without going to school. Something as simple as handwriting. And that's what I ask. Why do we judge our children based on something like handwriting? Because she is not writing the way everybody writes, so she is not intelligent. And this is a very intelligent girl. So willingness, understanding that this is a condition. I mean, who thought maybe, for instance, if we had seen Farida at 12 years, who would have thought that, okay, Farida will be the Faridas of today, who is inspiring me to go on with my daughter. But here is a society that writes people off. Oh, she cannot walk, so we can't, what is she going to do in life? You know, those kind of mentalities need to be taken off teachers and head teachers' mind. That every child is possible. Every child has capabilities, and every child can be developed into something that will help enhance our society. So those are the things that we need to look at.
Farida, I'll come back to you because you started school at a later age, and so you had some homeschooling prior to that. Do you think the narrative would have been different if you had to start school from a younger age?
Probably, especially in Ghana. I don't know what would have happened. I always say that I was blessed that I had the privilege of being homeschooled, having the one-on-one attention from my mother, who was my teacher in that regard. So I had a very good foundation. So academically, I could compete. So there was no question of them sucking me because I wasn't up to scratch academically. And this was way back in 1992, before the inclusive education policy and all those things came into play. But I think like I said earlier, it just takes a willing head teacher. And I had 2 willing head teachers who I'm forever grateful to, because back then, it's not like now where there is more awareness of cerebral palsy and other disabilities and all those things. We are talking about the early 90s. I don't know whether you remember what Ghana was like in the early 90s. Exactly, I mean, we had a lot of problems back then, but I don't know. They just took that risk and made it happen. And made it happen. And the strange thing is that when I was going to school, it was mainly for me to be able to interact with other children. I wasn't really expected to excel that much or anything. But my mom just said that, look, you have been in the house for a long time. You don't have friends of your own. Your sister is your only real friend. It's about time you got out and learned how to be socially inclined to meet other children. So that was the reason why
you were pushed into
I was pushed into school. And I say that, I mean, it was possible in a government school. In a government school in a deprived area, like College Ghana.
Yeah.
I was in College Ghana for 1 year. Then I went to College Shawu 1 JSS for the next 2 years. Then I went to BC. Yeah.
Class. You know, and this was 1992. And
Yes.
so for me, the question is, even in 1992, it was possible for Farida.
Yeah.
So why is it 10 years, many more years down the line, we seem to be struggling to get this inclusive education policy to work?
Okay, so what in Farida's case, I can say that the only difference, and I always say her mother is a hero. I mean, I used to go look for their videos and just watch their KSM interview and everything. But you know, if a mother has a time and everything to spend with a child, it works. I mean, that is there. I wish that I could stay home and just dedicate my life to my daughter and help her. But I can't afford that. I need to earn an income. I need to earn a living. I need to contribute to my home. So that is where I have a problem.
Right.
You know, I really wish that I could spend time, because all those who have spent time with their children, I've seen results. I recently met a mother, Gifty, who has spent her life. She used to work and resigned and spent her life with her daughter. Her daughter is working, and she's an inspiration to me. You know, you wish that you could spend one-on-one time, because that is what they need.
Yes.
Children with cerebral palsy need a lot of attention. They are high needs. But in a case where you can't earn anything, and you need to go out and fend for yourself, that is where you need help with your child, so that at least your child is catered for within some hours for you to also turn yourself around and come back. That's where we have the challenge.
Very well. But this interview, I must tell you, that is sponsored by Star Ghana, UK Aid, Danida, and EU. But we're joined here by Mr. Jerry Budu. He's Research Planning Officer at the Special Education Unit of GES. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine.
So let's come to you, because you are with GES and you are with the Research and Planning Unit for Special Education. We are campaigning for inclusive education for children with cerebral palsy. The policy has been in place for 10 years, but nothing seems to actually have been done about it. What's your view on this?
Thank you, and I must apologize for coming in late. I had some flat tire on the way. That's what. Well, I think that when we're talking about children with cerebral palsy, for me, I would like us to look at the context. We are not talking about children with cerebral palsy alone. As education, and as for that matter, the special education, we are looking at children with special needs, including disabilities.
Right.
So it's a wide spectrum of children. Cerebral palsy is part of it.
Before you go on, I'd like to put that in, because yes, it seems some aspect of special children have been catered for more than others. Is this the reality?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Just last Monday, I was at Ashoma Basic School. This was a child with cerebral palsy. The parents think that the child could not be supported. But with the support of the special education needs officer, the child is in the school. The boy is now in class 4. And could you believe, one of the teachers, this boy did something fantastic. One of the teachers was, I think, due for some promotion, that kind of thing. So when the officers came to look at the work of the teacher, after teaching, the teacher wanted somebody to point to a banana on the classroom. The whole classroom was quiet. It was this boy with cerebral palsy got up, limping, walking, just picked the stick and then pointed it. It was so fantastic. So it raised a lot of awareness. Oh, come on. Look at this boy in this classroom. Nobody was giving him a dime that he could perform this way. But the boy is so fantastic. And that elevated. And so now all the teachers, the focus is on this child. This boy can learn. This boy can do better, even than the so-called, let me say, regular children that we are talking about. So for us to say that maybe some people have been taking care of others, no, I must say no. That is not the case. We are trying as much as possible to bring everybody on board. After all, the essence of inclusive education is to ensure that there's equity and access for education for every child.
Mr. Budu, we hear you loud and clear, but don't you think, Mr. Bedu, sorry for that, don't you think it's taking longer than really should? Because if you and I probably were in the shoes, would understand the frustration these mothers and persons who live with CP go through.
Madam, we know. We know, and we don't shy away from that. We know what they are going through. It's real painful, when you need support, you don't get the needed support that you have need of. But then I must say also that you require a lot of resources, both human, financial, physical resources, infrastructure-wise. But look at our infrastructures in the school. We won't say that they are up to date. No, we are still trying as much as we can to ensure that children with disability and special needs, at least they have access to our classroom. They have access to teaching and learning material that we adapted and modified to their special needs.
But Mr. Bedu, we can't say until that is done, these children should be at home. So in the meantime, what is government doing to support them? Because like the Special Mothers Project, the appeal they're making is that even some mothers could be taken into these schools to actually help with taking care of the children. And so if that is a challenge for GES, they've offered a solution.
Well, I wouldn't say that they've offered a solution.
Right.
But I think that their main concern is taking care of the children while they are in the school.
Right.
Because after all, the teachers cannot take care of certain things. Honestly, let's be practical about them. And we see where they are coming from. They want to be there and support the teacher, including the children feeding, that kind of thing. In fact, that is what they are trying to do. But then we also need to consider it, because after all, they wouldn't be there throughout the day just like that.
Right.
They need to be fed. They must eat. They take transport from where they are, because most of them are not working. And because of their challenges, they had difficulties in, some of them are actually having marital challenges as a result of the children, you know, and we are considering all these things. So we think that we need a lot of dialogue, and then we also plead to other stakeholders to come in to support the service, because it's a collaboration. GES, and for that matter, special education, cannot do it all. UNICEF is supporting, and I will take this platform to appeal to other donors, philanthropists, NGOs to come and support the system. Because if the system is good, it's good for all of us, and we will stand to be beneficiaries of the system.
Very well. So guys, that's all time will afford us. But you heard it right from here on Newday. We are taking this initiative to campaign for inclusive education for children with cerebral palsy. Again, this interview was supported by Star Ghana with funding from UK Aid, Danida, and EU. We'll be here with more on Newday. Stay right here with us.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Daily Guide is beginning this morning. It says Cocoa Board builds guest house for Mahama. $400 million vanishes. And AC Boatin apologizes. Daily Guide has it. The Statesman says NDC blows 5 billion cedis on Ghost Cocoa Roads. Daily Graphic, AC Boatin apologizes, but pressure mounts on him to resign. Ghost Cocoa Roads are awarded under NDC government. The Times, GRA set to widen tax net, launches nationwide campaign to enforce compliance. The Karagan PP chairman, others granted bail. And 6 top officials of the University of Education, Winneba, interdicted. The Heritage says ministry snubs disabled sports team as Ghana pulls out of wheelchair basketball World Cup qualifiers over $10,700 fee. Those are some of the newspapers. My guest this morning, Member of Parliament for the South Dye constituency, a member of the NDC, is with me, a lawyer, Roxanne Dafiame. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hope you're doing great.
Well, we soldier on for country and God.
I'm grateful for your time with us this morning. And then a member of the NPP, Nana Moa, is also here. Nana, good morning.
Good morning to
Hope
you.
you're doing good.
By the grace of God.
Thanks for your time. And the communication director of the CPP, Abdul Kadir Raouf, is also here. Good morning.
Yeah,
Hope you're doing good.
I'm doing very great.
Thanks for your time. Let's start with the Daily Graphic this morning. The biggest story, I guess, on every newspaper, the Finder, the Times, the Statesman, the Heritage, all of them have a story. It says that the embattled Ghana High Commissioner to South Africa, Mr. George A.C. has rendered an unqualified apology to President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the people of Ghana for making politically incorrect remarks at a forum in Kumasi last weekend. He said his statements were unfortunate and at variance with the letter and spirit of the Fourth Republican Constitution and the dignified office of High Commissioner, which he occupied. In a statement signed by himself and issued in Accra, Mr. Isibuatin said, "I am aware that as a representative of Ghana to South Africa, I have a responsibility to protect the interests of all Ghanaians within my jurisdiction and grant them equal access to opportunities that are presented irrespective of their political affiliation." Now, that's Mr. Isibuatin's statement, but the minority in Parliament has called on the President to withdraw his appointment for making the politically divisive statement, a statement signed by Mr. Samuel Okuchetua Blakwa, member for North Tone, and also the member of the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament. The story continues on page 20. Quickly, it says that on behalf of the minority, we have taken judicial notice of the rather defiant, intransigent, stubborn, obstinate, obdurate, adamant, stiff-necked, and unremorseful posture of Ghana's disgraced High Commissioner to South Africa, His Excellency George Isibuatin. That's the Daily Graphic story this morning. Honorable Roxanne Dafian, let me begin with you this morning. The minority is asking the President to remove him from office. Is that it after the apology?
Let me use the opportunity to say good morning to my constituents in South Dime, particularly to the Kpali people who are celebrating their Kpali Papa festival. The Deba is on Saturday.
Okay.
So I wish them all the best. The President will be there, I will be there. You see, it is not for nothing that ambassadors are called His or Her Excellency. It's not for nothing. Now, it is also not for nothing why our ambassadors or consular officers are accorded diplomatic status. It comes with a certain finance. Now, most importantly of all, anybody, whether a national who is being appointed an ambassador or a foreigner who becomes a consular officer manning our missions abroad, you swear, in addition to oath of secrecy and oath of office and all that, you swear to protect the sanctity of the Constitution and the interests of the state. Oath of allegiance. You swear that you owe allegiance to no other nation than Ghana. That is where your allegiance lies. And in dealing with the allegiance of Ghana, you cannot divide the nationals into two and consider one group more important or prioritize their needs over the other. It is in this context that we find the comments unsavory, unfortunate, and above all, unnationalistic. So it means this is not a man who is protecting the national interest. He's protecting his partisan parochial interest. And in any case, what is he doing in Kumasi? You're supposed to be based in Cape Town. Is he on holiday? So it is unacceptable. And we think the MPP has some other fine men or women to be given this opportunity. Mr. Isibuatin should come back and to come and do his politics in Kumasi. Yes, if he does this in the streets of Kumasi, fine. You know, that is his comfort zone, that is his base. But you don't do it when you fly on a diplomatic passport.
So if you had said this at a TESCON meeting and he was not an ambassador to South Africa, that would have been okay.
Others have said so. When Samia Oku said that they will fly only MPP supporters to Russia, it was a political statement. Who has taken Samuel Uku on? No. We lambasted him. But he's not a public officer. He's a party person. So, in as much as we condemn him, the condemnation were lame. And it ended after a day. People make sparing reference to it, but it passed. Nobody noticed it. Because this was a comment from a political animal. So it was accepted. That's why I place my submissions in a contest. Officer. In a contest. Samuel Uku is a party animal. And a grand man and that. So when he said so, we took it along in our strides. But a diplomat, not a mere consular officer, but the head of our mission, our ambassador, you can't say that.
So
I even checked.
The president should sack him.
I even checked whether there's a way we can haul him before Parliament. And my senior, the ranking on foreign affairs, Sami tells me they will find a way. This is a statement that we cannot allow to just pass. He has to lose his job.
Nana,
those will be my preliminary comments on the matter.
Should the president ask him to step aside?
A small point before Nana comes in. How different is this from the comments made by the former deputy minister, the Honorable Kwetu?
Okay. All right.
They are in the same bracket.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nana?
Thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity to let you and viewers of Ghana and of TV3 also know that on the 7th of November 2017, His Excellency the President will be launching the Accelerated Oil and Gas Capacity Development Program at the Regional Maritime University. You know, it was a campaign promise that was made, as is very well captured in the manifesto of the NPP in 2016. And so the issues surrounding our oil and gas and the fact that Ghanaians are not getting enough space to operate within the oil and gas sector in Ghana are going to be addressed under this platform. As we speak now, about 4,500 foreign nationals are working within the oil and gas sector of this country. And it is essential that
when you finish,
we are able to
over the invoice to him. Please go on.
And it is essential that we are able to do something to ensure that our people get jobs. Today, as we speak, jobs is the biggest issue on any table, and so we are beginning to address that through the Accelerated Oil and Gas Capacity Building Program. We invite the general public to be there. It's at the Regional Maritime University, 11 o'clock on 7th November 2017. Now, to this issue, I don't think that anyone can say that what Mr. A.C. Boateng said is right per se in itself. I know Mr. A.C. Boateng very well. I mean, I started my political activism all the way in the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology during my student days. Mr. A.C. Boateng was one of the few that kept, encouraging all of us at the time. A gentleman, Dr. Gideon Boakun, who was also one of the mentees. He's now at the office of the Vice President. He's a man of great intellect. He's a man of great understanding. He also has a lot of belief in the youth. When I heard the statement, I felt that they were a bit, out of, may I use the slang, out of coverage area, because it didn't fit the personality and profile.
They were out of coverage area, or a bit out of coverage area?
They were out of coverage area. Okay. You see, to be honest, I'll admit that I'm struggling to, go around this issue, because the Honorable A.C. Boateng I know wouldn't have made such statements. But particularly, you also need to bear in mind the fact that it was done within a certain context, though it shouldn't have come from him anyway. He has come out to apologize, and he has said, and I like the way he began the apology, that upon sober reflection, I believe that he sat down and took stock of the activities that had happened, and perhaps thought that, listen, maybe I may have been caught too much in the heat of the moment activity, but let me take a step back, consider my principles, consider my being, consider my life's work, and give a final verdict on all of this. And his final verdict is that, look, I am sorry. I have soiled the name of Ghana. I have disappointed the people of Ghana, and so I apologize for my words which I have done. Let's bear in mind the fact that these are words, and even though they are just words, we must hold people to their words. But I struggle also, therefore, to accept the opinions of the minority on this. Why do I say so? Because we had a president who said, allow NDC people to operate. Give space to the NDC. And I'm not just saying that, out of the blue. I can actually give proof. I don't know if your cameraman will be able to capture it, but then I can actually give proof to all of this and it's here. Give space to the NDC, boldly stated by the president at the time. May he rest in perfect peace. His Excellency John Evans Atta Mills. He didn't resign because of these comments. He came out, there was a little bit of a back and forth on this, and then we settled it. It was done. As a country, we moved forward. It's the same thing that must happen. I do not see why Mr. Isi Boateng should be forced to resign, particularly after he has come.
The former president has said same.
I'm not saying that because the former president has said same.
But what are you saying?
I am saying that he has apologized, and I see sincerity in that apology. And may we all, as a nation, accept it and decide that never again must such words come from a person of such ranking. But I feel that the NDC and the minority are being insincere in their call for resignation.
Why?
Because, look, we're humans, we're fallible. Sometimes we do make mistakes. When the mistakes have been made and the person has realized his error and begins to actually find ways and means of, placating the error that he has made, to go ahead and seek to score political points out of that and all of that is neither here nor there. Particularly when you, the individuals who are collectively making this call, have been known to engage in worse. I am not seeking to equalize, and that is not how I want to come across. But I feel it is also very important that we make this point forcefully to them. Look, I like the example that Roxanne has made, that Tammy Oku made a statement, but Tammy Oku was a party activist, no problem. At the point where Joseph Yamin made this statement in 2014, he was the deputy minister of youth and sports, and he said only NDC supporters will fly out to Brazil. He said this, he defended it, he refused to apologize. Then it was your government. Did you make him resign for that? Or it was a case that you didn't have any other fine persons?
No, so Yamin did not resign. So Mr. Isi Boateng should not
That's
resign.
not what I'm saying.
What are you saying?
Okay. The point I'm making is the man has realized his error. He has apologized. Let's take it for that. But we need to point out to the NDC that the insincerity, the hypocrisy on their part is uncalled for. Today you've become saints and you are, preaching that this is uncalled for. It's never heard of, among other things. Please, spare us our ears.
Didn't the NPP promise us a break from the type of governance we've had in the past 8 years?
That is why Mr. Isi Boateng has come to apologize. I've pointed out to you that in other instances, apologies were never rendered.
He didn't apologize.
May I finish?
Great.
May I finish? Thank you, but may I finish? That in other instances, apologies were never rendered. In this particular instance, the man has undergone introspection and realized that based on his principles, on his life's work among others, this is out of character and he must apologize for that. My issue, and this is not with the general Ghanaian public, this issue specifically is with the NDC and the minority in parliament.
Are they not a subset of the Ghanaian public?
Well, I like the fact that you said they are a subset. So they are a collection of people with, bear in mind, political interest. And they are seeking to play this on the pitch of, political convenience.
Civil society is also asking Mr. Isi Boateng to be removed.
Civil society has...
Occupy Ghana has asked for it.
Exactly.
Diamond, almost every civil society.
Thank you very much. Now, there are two major differences between civil society and political parties, which are one, civil society has never had the opportunity to govern this country. The NDC has.
In Parliament,
may I finish?
Honorable Nelson,
I get you. In Parliament, you may not be a political party, but this, look, the Honorable Okudzeto Ablaka, who today is making these statements, made statements that were considered deceitful to the people of Ghana. Remember the 1.6 million jobs issue? Even his colleague ministers refused to stand with him on that. It was deceitful. Was he forced to resign? No. I am not saying that that should become the standard. I am saying that Mr. Isi Boateng has apologized.
All right. And for you, it should not be
No,
removed.
He has apologized. We continue as a political party to go to the people of Ghana and say, we are sorry that such a thing has happened. It should not have happened. But we are humans. He has made a mistake. Please forgive him. But if you hear our opponents then standing there, then it becomes an issue of the building of the wall, Nehemiah and the building of the wall, and those Sanballat and Tobias.
He should not be made to go. That's your final
I think
point.
that he has apologized.
Okay.
We will continue to speak to the people of Ghana that he has wronged the conditions of his appointment. May we all please forgive him.
Right.
That is the general stance.
Right.
But for
I'm
these
grateful.
people, they should please give us
take
an ear to
offense
it.
to your reference.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yes,
I'm sorry.
they-
I'm
these
sorry.
people,
I'm
I
sorry.
think- okay,
I'm sorry.
yes.
I'm sorry. For the minority,
It's
may
all
I
about
say,
that, exactly.
for the minority and the NDC
Right.
political party.
Right.
I apologize for that, Roxanne.
Yes.
Please don't take offense. For the minority and the NDC as a political party, please don't be Sanballat and Tobias.
I'm grateful. Rauf. Okay, so that's the two. Go. He has apologized, so the party is pleading with Ghanaians. Allow him to continue his office.
Well, first of all, let me also say a very good morning to the cherished viewers, and also to register my strong disappointment, in the statement that a diplomat, an ambassador for that matter, made under such a condition and then context. I think that it is completely regrettable. It is condemnable and piteous for any person to try to justify that. In any case, when you read the statement that he issued, he said that upon a sober reflection. Is he telling Ghanaians that he was working on his mind when he was making that statement? And it has to take pressure upon pressure for him to come out and admit he's bad? Clearly, they said I think that this is a biblical saying that the mouth speaks out what is in the mind. So because he feels so justified in that deviation that came from his angle, that is why it took him so long a time to come out and apologize to the good people of Ghana. And me, I do not actually think that the apology that he submitted is sincere. He's just doing that because there has been pressure upon pressure on him to retract that irresponsible statement.
That is what you think.
Yeah, that is my
That is
view.
what
And
you
I'll
think.
tell you
Okay,
one
all
thing.
right.
You
That
see,
is view.
the privileged position that he's occupying as Ghana's ambassador to Saudi Arabia, you can imagine.
South Africa.
South Africa. Every Ghanaian is expected to hold high the flag of Ghana when you are outside the country. So you can imagine if someone has this kind of mindset and he is the ambassador of Ghana in South Africa. Clearly you see that the whole idea of the national picture, the bigger picture, which has always been advocated by the president of the country, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, he has lost understanding of that whole idea. And for such a person, I do not think that he is fit to perform the duty of an ambassador representing Ghana outside the country. And then truly speaking, I strongly believe that what he has said is certainly unfortunate. And then every well-meaning Ghanaian must add their voice in calling on the president to revoke his appointment. Because clearly it is un-Ghanaian. That statement does not present him as somebody who actually believes in the whole idea of national unity. That is divisive and to some extent even ethnocentric. I have actually been monitoring some MPP communicators on Facebook and what have you, seeking to justify that, and that is exactly what Damwa is trying to do this morning. No, please, and when you put it to him, he will try to, the truth of the matter is
that he's not justifying it. That's what he told
us. Beyond what he has said, beyond what he has said, we are looking at the implication.
What is the implication?
Of what he has said in the minds of Ghanaians. Because for you to make this statement and say that you are not implying that, it means that you are underrating the intelligence of the Ghanaian people. And it is unfortunate. For you to make this kind of statement and say that you are not implying that.
I'll give it a chance.
But he's beginning to undermine.
No, but I've told him that he has not justified the act.
No, he has said that he has not justified the act. And I'm saying that, but the effect and the implication of the analysis or submission that he made this morning goes to justify that. And for you to say that you are not justifying that, it is to undermine the intelligence of the Ghanaian people. And I think that you are smarter than that. So, truly speaking, Bright, I think that I am so disappointed, and I believe, and I add, my voice to the fact that he should not be made to perform this duty. Because if he goes, just look at a country like South Africa, that believes in the concept of a rainbow nation. For a Ghanaian diplomat to go there and hold a view which is contrary, to the view of South Africa, can he best fit within the context of such a society? So clearly, I believe that he has to be called down, And then to even add to what Honorable Roxanne said, what is he doing in Ghana at the moment? He's supposed to be in South Africa.
Well, maybe he's on holiday.
Well, that has to be proven. So these are some of the, the issues that we are talking about. And personally, I'm very disappointed. Personally, I'm very, very disappointed. And I would want to conclude by saying that it is extremely piteous for any person to want to put defense for him. I think that the smarter communicators of MPP have actually been running away from this kind of thing. They don't even want to have their views on this issue known. So for people, no, I'm not referring to you, please. I'm not referring to you.
The implication of what you have said.
I'm not referring to you. No. So we now, so you see that he's now talking about the implications. All right.
Because I'm pointing out to you. Is that what you meant?
No. Well, that is not what I mean. That's not what I mean.
But then you sat here and accused that the implication of what I have said.
So you are now talking about implications. So I was also telling you about the implications of what you said.
Okay, gentlemen,
I'm using your words against
you just wrap up. Okay.
Thank you.
Let me, okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Ralph, that's okay.
So in winding up, I have added my voice and the voice of the Convention People's Party to the millions of Ghanaians out there who are asking the president to revoke his appointment, to do so with the speed of light.
Okay.
Because with this kind of attitude, I think that it is intolerable.
I'm grateful, Ralph.
Right, a small point.
Okay, quickly, before I bring Nana into wrap up.
The ambassador didn't apologize for his speech.
Oh, he did not?
No. He said he apologized for the effect of his speech. Read it.
We will have to go read the full text.
Yes.
We don't have the full
for
text.
The effect, no, I read the statement
paraphrases
yesterday.
from
for the effect of the speech. So, he's apologizing based on a hindsight, like Ralph is saying. Because as for what he said, he's not regretted. But he said, oh, if I say it and the effect is that people are upset, then I am sorry. But the comment, he's not withdrawing the comment.
No, I contest what you say.
Then one, read the statement. You have it.
I don't have
yes. He said the effect.
The full statement here, but we'll try and get and put a statement out.
You should see the statement before you
all right. So I have a copy here.
Yes.
And it reads quickly. I have, upon sober reflection, decided to retract the comments I made during my interaction with some members of the NPP in the Ashanti region over the weekend. I have realized that my statement is unfortunate and at variance with the letter and spirit of the Ghanaian Constitution and the dignified office of High Commissioner that I occupy. I am aware that as the representative of Ghana to South Africa, I have a responsibility to protect the interests of all Ghanaians within my jurisdiction and to grant them equal access to opportunities that are presented, irrespective of their political affiliation. I regret the effect of my speech delivered to the young party members, which has generated public outcry. Finally, I therefore wish to retract my comments and render an unqualified apology to the presidency and all Ghanaians. That's the statement from.
As to how Roxanne has managed to interpret this to mean that one, he has not retracted and apologized.
Okay, we have to
when
do
it has
English
been stated
quickly.
clearly here.
Where?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Let me read.
The man says he regrets the effect.
May I finish? I have realized that my statement is unfortunate and at variance with the letter and spirit of the Ghanaian Constitution and the dignified office of the High Commission that I occupy. I want you to take that into effect. The last statement says, I therefore
that
wish
is
to...
the opening remarks.
No, that's
no,
not the
opening remarks.
No, that's the
those
second
are palliatives.
Paragraph. That is the second paragraph. The actual opening remark is,
yeah.
I have, upon sober reflection, decided to retract.
Oh,
and you sat here and said, he has not retracted. He regrets the effect.
Yes.
But the statement...
Didn't he say so?
May I?
Didn't he say so?
I have upon sober reflection, decided to retract the comments I made during my interaction with some members of New Patriotic Party in the Ashanti region. That's the first retraction.
Right.
The last paragraph says, I therefore wish to retract my comments and render an unqualified apology to the presidency.
So he's retracted the comments.
He has retracted, he has apologized, he has also shown that indeed, as I have sat here and said, it is not within, it's out of coverage, may I say. It is it is not within the character of the man AC Boateng that I know, that majority of the people that I know him know. And so upon sober reflection, and I said that he sat down to look at everything, look at his personal principles and everything. And I continue to say that as a party, we feel that he has done wrong and will continue to, you know, beg the people of Ghana that he has done wrong. He has apologized.
Let me make my comments.
May I finish? He has done wrong. He has apologized to the people of Ghana. We plead with all of you. May we all together as a nation forgive him. Listen, the Bible says that
don't use biblical quotations to justify it.
I'm not justifying.
Allow him to land,
I beg you.
In 10 seconds. So
I don't think that anything I've done here is justification. What I am saying is that the man has apologized. The Bible says that God forgive us our sins as we forgive others of our sins. Look, if I should condemn a man that has realized his wrong and has apologized to the people of Ghana, then based on my biblical principles, may I finish? Based on the biblical principles, you should never be forgiven for any sin you ever commit.
I know.
You should be condemned for everything you ever do.
All right. Right. It is clear here that the man says he regret the effect. Why? I regret the effect of my speech.
So you ignore everything and come to that.
Why? Why shouldn't I?
You know context.
Of course. Why shouldn't I?
It's written.
This is in context.
What is in context?
This is a very trickery writer.
What is trickery?
Why? He thinks we don't know.
What?
Now listen. This is a man. You have sat here to say that he has wronged the ethics and everything about his office.
Yes.
He has offended it.
Yes.
When you come to public office as a private person, and you misconduct yourself, we don't maintain you.
What do you do?
You have to go home for another who will not come and misconduct himself to occupy that.
Okay.
That is the principle.
All right. I will leave the rest for...
No, he did not. Since the effect.
All right.
Anyway.
Okay, let's move on. Yes, of course. They will take their decision. They have our viewers are discerning. They know what to do.
These are the little foxes. Don't worry. These are the little foxes. You relax. Don't worry.
All right.
Vigilantes.
I'm just saying.
I know you wish.
On the Daily Graphic, Cocoa Board and Carvers Ghost Cocoa Roads awarded under the NDC government. The management of Cocoa Board is accusing the previous management of the board under the NDC of awarding contract for cocoa roads in the country. It said an interim audit on the roads conducted by technical consultant that revealed that many of the roads for which contract were awarded had been found to be non-existent or excessively over-bloated. CEO Joseph Boahinedu, who announced this, said, for the first time in the history of Ghana, the NDC had introduced ghost cocoa roads in Ghana. And he goes on to say that upon the assumption of office in February 2017, his administration inherited Cocoa Road's debt of 3.52 billion. He goes on to say that even though a budgetary allocation of 1.64 billion was earmarked for the Cocoa Roads project between 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, the then government awarded contract to the tune of 5.16 billion cedis. He talks about abuse too. He said that under the Cocoa Roads contract, 4-wheel drive vehicles were purchased by Cocoa Board for the contractors as part of the contract price, adding that 160 vehicles were with the contractors. To indicate the abuse, an 18-kilometer road, for example, was allocated 6 4-wheel vehicles for inspection by the old administration. I have initiated steps to retrieve the vehicles from the contractors, he told the press conference. So a lot of issues there. The press conference was in reaction to the one held by the minority somewhere in Budi some time ago. Rauf, let me begin with you.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, great. Let me begin with you. Now, this issue of contracts that are bloated, vehicles that are so missing and all that, the Cocoa Board Chief Executive says that he's taking time to uncover all of this. Now, what should he do quickly to get this done? Because the public seem to be waiting for this. Is some state institutions just being too slow in recovering some of these assets that have been wrongfully taken?
Well, I think that it has to be said that to engage in corruption is one thing that people must never afford upon themselves. And then given what the chief executive of the Cocoa Board has revealed, I can smell that something, untoward, something fishy may have happened. But even though I would want to express few comments concerning this particular matter, I think it would be fitting and proper if we get, a response from the other chief executive who just exited office. Because sometimes the hunter always thinks that he's right, not until you hear the side of the lion. So I believe that as a matter of principle, it is important because this is a matter that must get the attention of every Ghanaian. And then when the former chief executive officer, was there, we used to hear a lot of, things. So many people express, unsatisfaction with the way his leadership style and the way he was doing things. So if issues like this are beginning to come out, I think that it is an issue that I would want to suggest very strongly that it should be looked into. And then if it is established that these things really happened, then there is no mercy for the guilty. Once it is established, then somebody must be punished for it. Like I said in my opening remarks, corruption is one thing that we must never afford upon ourselves. Because any study of the gamut of corruption will reveal that corruption has the tendency of not only undermining rule of law and tenets of good governance, it also shortens the lifespan of people. So for example, if rules were meant to be constructed to facilitate easy movement of people, goods and services, and some group of people bloat it just for their private gain or personal gain, certainly I believe it is condemnable. In the same manner that we condemn the irresponsible statement of the Ghanaian, ambassador to South Africa, with that same energy, we have to call for a serious investigation to be done into this matter. And as I said, once it is established that something fishy happened, somebody must be made to pay for it. So when we begin to punish people who occupy public offices, for taking decisions which were not financially prudent, and for also trying to use public offices to make, personal gains for themselves, and we begin to punish them publicly, I believe that it will be a fundamental step towards restoring order and then some kind of confidence in the system. But at the moment, there are thousands of Ghanaians out there who are not interested in politics, who think that politics is dirty. And these people feel justified in that view that they hold when they get, issues like this. So I want to suggest that this issue should be investigated, even if it means that the president, because Cocoa Board is one very key, sector, that has so much money, that can do so many things for the good people of this country. So it should be looked into. And once it is established, per, the rules of engagement, that something fishy happened, someone took advantage of his privileged position, then that person, will be made to face the full rigor of the law.
All right. Let me quickly, before I go to Nana and Roxanne, let me get the ranking member of the Roads Committee of Parliament, Honorable Kwame Agbuja, to react to the issues here about the Cocoa Roads. Good morning. I'm grateful that you joined us. So the issue is that the roads that are on paper are not there. Some contract bloated. Some vehicles were told can't even be traced. I'm trying to get Honorable Kwame Agbuja on the line, but we'll try and rework the phone lines. But Nana, let me come to you. It looks like the NPP and the NDC are
Hello,
each other's.
I'm on the line.
All right, I can hear you now. Kwame,
yes.
Once again, good morning.
Good morning to your choice.
Right, so the issues are that, one, the roads are not there. The chief executive says they are ghost roads, they don't exist. Contract bloated, some vehicles can't be found. In fact, he's even suggesting that at a point in time, the $1.8 billion had been fully drawn and utilized for only 587,000 tons of cocoa when he had actually targeted 850 tons.
Well, thank you very much. It is very unfortunate. I can tell you this. We met the chief executive of Cocoa Board about 2 months ago in Parliament, the committee met him. And you can forgive him. The man is not any expert in road construction or anything. He's an administrator now. He made very strange comments that I believe civil engineers or people who know something about road construction would forgive him. Let me give you an example. He failed to tell us the name of the organization claiming to do the investigation. He couldn't tell us. Initially, he wanted to tell us, then he could. So I used the word. He used a dodgy company to forge a report that is not credible. 2, you must understand that these projects were packaged and are being supervised under the Ministry of Road and Highways. So if it's a feeder road in Ghana is supervising the work. If it's a highway is supervising the work. So in effect, the Cocoa Board Chief Executive is alleging that the engineers at feeder roads and highways are the ones who bloated the project. It was so strange when he came out to say that why did they buy a vehicle for consultants supervising a road? And he was made to understand that this is a normal practice everywhere under President Kufuor and anywhere that you do road construction. You provide vehicles for people who supervise the work and sometimes even contractors. They take it out of the contract sum. And to talk about the bloating of contract, I am urging you, Bright, for 11 months, the chief executive of Cocoa Board is still holding on to a so-called interim report. I am daring him to publish the report this afternoon so we can do a proper response to it. You see, he just responded to the press conference we did in Western Region. The chief executive of Cocoa Board cannot fool this country. He must publish the report and tell us the organization who did the report. Then we can effectively respond to it. There is no missing road. What he's ignorantly talking about is that they programmed to award some roads to facilitate cocoa evacuation in some areas. Though the projects were not awarded, this gentleman is adding them to the stock of road projects. So indeed, if the road was not awarded, why would you add it to a road which is existing? So I am urging you, using your platform, the Cocoa Board Chief Executive must publish the so-called report so that the minority can respond effectively. There's no missing road. There's nothing. It is just, unfortunately, sheer ignorance by the Chief Executive of Cocoa Board. And that is the fact.
Kwame, I am grateful for your time. He's a member of parliament for the Adaklu constituency, watching and decided to react to the issues. Nana, let me come to you. That's exactly what I was saying. The past government and the current government seem to be at each other's throat with the Cocoa Board issue. Now, how do we deal with it? Like he's suggesting that the full report be made known so that more interrogations are made, or these allegations are thrown out there and then the debate goes on.
Okay, I like the fact that Honorable Abuja seemed very animated. I mean, he seemed very passionate and he was very willing to go all out there and defend these matters. It's very interesting the times in which we live. And I take notice of the fact that he says that the current Cocoa Board CEO is ignorant and that he doesn't seem to know anything. He's just sitting there and he's cooking reports.
He didn't say anything, said he doesn't seem to know about roads.
Well, but the point he makes is that he's cooking reports. He's using a dodgy company to cook a report to tarnish them. They are redress for these matters. So if indeed he does believe that what the Cocoa Board CEO is doing is cooking reports among others, I dare him to also go out there and seek redress in these matters. But let's deal with the issues one by one. What is it that is being said? Nobody has ever claimed that it is wrong for vehicles to be made available for supervision when roads are being constructed. That's not the case. But if you have an 18-kilometer road and you are having 6 vehicles, on the average, 1 4x4 vehicle per every 3 kilometers, can the nation afford that? Is that prudent? These are the issues that are coming up. I very often, hold myself in shock when I hear people attempt to rationalize some of the things that are happening. For example, 1.8 billion. May I finish, please? 1.8 billion was sourced to buy 850 metric tons. After you've been able to purchase just about 587 metric tons, the money is finished. What happened? And let's not just say that this is just trading of allegations. I know that most of us are aware that Mr. Oponi has been invited and there are several investigations that are ongoing. The difference between an NPP government and an NDC government.
Kwame said something. You're missing.
Honorable Jackson, I am coming to you briefly in a moment. Nana,
So
please
in matters like this, when you attempt to explain, then they get agitated. That's why I've mentioned that Honorable Abuja was very animated, you know, as though they don't want us to even speak to the matters. But the question, one question, and I would love an answer to this. 1.8 billion was sourced to purchase 850 metric tons. You've bought 587,000 metric tons. The money is finished. What happened? The man is being investigated. So let's not act as though this is just empty rhetoric that is being put out there and that nothing is really ongoing. It's not true. You want to construct a hotel in Bole for what? Cocoa Board went to construct a guest house in Bole. What for? How is that going to affect our cocoa processes in this country? Either the harvesting or the planting of cocoa. A hotel in Bole for what? And bear in mind the fact that Bole was the hometown of our immediate past president. Some of the expenditures and some of the things that were done by Cocoa Board were just flamboyant, unnecessary. The issue has come up that, listen, road contracts were awarded, and in some instances, payments have been made, and those roads cannot be accounted for. You are telling us that we are ignorant. No problem. The difference between an NPP government and an NDC government is that we do not just get up and run on mere suspicions and go to court, as they did with Professor Michael Koy and others, Mr. Stephen Asamabwati and others. And may I finish?
Okay,
the case of the Indian rice.
Who took Michael Koy to court?
The government of the day. May I finish? Now, the point I'm trying to make is that, as with Mr. Stephen Asamabwati and others, what the NPP government does is that it takes its time, does investigations, verifies all the facts before it goes to court. Today, you are singing, coming out in bravado to come and defend your actions. No problem. Your time is coming.
Okay.
And I can say
I'm
that
grateful.
Our time is coming.
Definitely it will come. Anybody that has done anything wrong,
I see.
anybody that has done anything wrong should continue and run around. Their time definitely will come. Listen, nothing is hidden under the sun. Nothing is a secret.
The last time the deputy AG gave October, we are in November.
No problem. What I'm saying,
so their time is still coming.
What I'm saying is that
there's an extension.
What I'm saying is that
Office of the Special
the rightful thing to do, as per the laid down procedures in this country, is that if you suspect somebody has done wrong, you investigate, ground it, and be sure that you have a case that is beyond reasonable doubt. Then you go to court to take the action in the interest of the people of Ghana. If it is a criminal matter. What this government is doing is that we are not rushing to court based on mere suspicions to go and slander people among others. Investigative processes are ongoing. I dare him to say that indeed investigative processes are not ongoing.
I wanted to go to Nelson, but
it's very clear.
Let me ask
that
you,
they are wrong
once investigations are being done, do you think that perhaps some of these media interactions should be stopped, because then it throws out these issues into the public?
The CEO
and it tarnishes the images of persons involved.
It is
if
right.
They have not done anything.
It is right. What you're saying is right. If it was a CEO who stood up and just went to do a press conference.
Okay. We were just reacting to the NDC's press
conference. The NDC decided to put these matters out there.
And I'm grateful. Let me get Nelson in.
I hope to have as much time
as... Please go on.
Now,
we'll be
right.
Please.
Now we're fighting over time.
Right.
Please go on.
It's unfortunate for the government of the day to do the kind of things sometimes they do. For instance, this one.
Which one?
Where is the report? We are asking.
But you are
hold on. Yes. So bring the hold on. Where's your report?
But they can't respond.
You are basing your comments and reaction to the minorities press statement.
What did you base your press
conference on? We only complain.
Okay, Nana,
we only complain that we have given some roads out of contract. You are look. In their economic policy statement, the budget, they said they were stopping all ongoing projects, road projects, and were reviewing and auditing them.
Yes.
11 months into the government, they haven't finished the audit. Hold on. Oh, please. Hold on. Please, Nana, can I finish?
Can you please allow?
You are not just saying. Look, if you move from Ebuakwa to Mpasetia, to Tuaso, to Nyinehini, to Bebieni, Anywa Nkwanta, Sexual Bekwai, to Yoso, all the way to Enchi. These rules exist. So you can't tell me these are ghost towns.
The ghost roads.
Yes, I'm telling you. Please,
all of them.
Please, these are towns that exist. So if road contract
or roads,
wait, right. If you are supposed to do my road, oh please, Adamwa, if you are supposed to do my road from Todome, Chate to Tongo, Germany, is this a ghost road? Ask the locals. If you don't know, say you don't know. This is existing town. If you go to Kwao, and you are supposed to do the road from Impraiso, Bepon, Asaka, Esikem, which is a cocoa growing area. Is this a ghost road?
So how do we deal with this?
Oh, why? Roads don't go through towns.
How do we deal with this?
Hold on. I'm just trying to tell him. Oh, that one. Please. I am making the point.
Yes.
That if you don't know an area,
he says the roads are not there. You said they are there. How do we
hold on? Right, I am making. Oh, that one. Can you
ghost road?
Can you comfort yourself? Let me make the point. I am saying, if you don't know the areas, keep quiet. Send people to go and verify. When they say a road and anything.
You can't speak.
Let's assume. Oh, please. Let's assume that you are supposed to do the road from Impraiso to Kutusu, and you don't know this area. Keep quiet. Don't call it a ghost road, because you see, there's Impraiso, there's Bepon. The road will go through Impraiso, Bepon, Asaka, Kwautafo to Kutusu.
Today we don't know Ghana.
So you think the roads
for instance, yes, and for instance, you stop the project. And for instance, if you are supposed to do the road from Kwautafo, Bukrua, Pipiasi, Chinra, you don't know.
Okay.
I am telling you that if you don't, oh please stop what you are doing. You are calling. If a road project has been awarded, oh please, if a road project has been awarded, and you by your economic policy, you say you are stopping, then you are reviewing.
Yes, because
so redo the review. Oh please.
Okay.
You just said that you don't.
Gentlemen, I am grateful. Gentlemen, I am grateful. I'm grateful. Gentlemen, I am grateful. We're wrapping up the show, gentlemen. I'm grateful. Roxanne Dafia-Meko is a member of the NDC, member of Parliament for the South constituency. Nana Damwa is a member of the NPP, and Rauf Kadiri is the communications director of the CPP. Those of you who joined us with your comments, Johnny will come very soon and read all of them. We're grateful for your time. Stay with us. Response after this break.